I have been working on getting my mindset right. I know that it's a lot easier to go to the grocery store and buy meats that are in a package that you don't have to see their face. Hey guys, welcome back to the Homemade Haven. In today's video, we wanted to show you guys how things go in a full circle here on our homestead. So from beginning to the end of a life cycle of a certain animal or certain crop that we grow here on our homestead, how we are trying to keep everything here on the homestead moving and working together to better improve our homestead for the health of our animals and for our land and for our family. So we will be completing this cycle by processing a few of our chickens today. Just a few days ago, we had 20 roosters here on our homestead and only 18 hens. So as you can imagine, there was a lot of competition, a lot of feathers pulled from our hens, and a lot of crowing all day long. So we were able to rehome a good majority of our egg-laying breed roosters to other homes because they were just so beautiful. They were really going to do some great things for a breeding program elsewhere, and I just really hated to put them in the freezer because they could go on being really good roosters. They all had great temperaments, but we were unable to find a home for 4 of those, so they will be joining our American breasts, which are our dual purpose meat and egg layer birds today. So we have 10 chickens that we're going to be processing today. We're not going to show you guys the process of how to do it. There are plenty of videos on YouTube that give you a little bit better explanation on that. We'll kind of give you a few glimpses of our setup real quick and then a few things along the way of the process, but really we want this video to show you guys how from the very beginning of these animals' lives, how they've been put to use here on our homestead, and how in the end of their lives they're also going to be put to good use here on our homestead. So we're trying not to waste any bits or pieces of them. Everything is going to have a home, it's going to have a purpose, and that's really our goal here on our homestead, is to make the best use of every creature that gives its life for us. And we hope that this video will inspire you guys and give you guys some good ideas on how to do the same on your homestead. So first of all, we'll show you guys our processing setup here. We were actually fortunate enough to rent this from our local extension office, which I think is amazing. They offer this to the public. It was $50 for an entire week, and you can go rent this equipment, have it for the whole week, bring it back, clean it up kind of thing, and that's it. You don't have to buy the equipment, which is great because we are not, you know, poultry farmers or anything like that, so we don't need to have this on hand. So the fact that we can just go pick it up in a few minutes, have it here the whole week, is great for us. I'm gonna flip you guys around and show you what we're working with here. All right, so first we have the cone station here. This holds 8 birds altogether, and it is sitting over a catchment system here, which will collect everything that drips out. The lady at the extension office told us to coat it with some kind of like spray grease, so that's what I did. I had some spray avocado oil and I just sprayed it down, and she said that that just helps it to clean out a lot easier once it's all said and done. Then next we have the scalder. This is a giant scalder. A lot of people will use like a turkey pot scalder, but this is the one that our extension office has. This is great for doing multiple birds at one time. It's just hooked up to a propane tank here, and it's heating up. Right now we have this dog kennel tray on top trying to hold some of the heat in so that it'll heat up a little bit quicker. We do have a hot water hose that comes from our house, which is really beneficial, but it is still taking quite a while to heat this water up here. So we need to get it up to 150-ish degrees to properly defeather our birds. And then over next to it we have the defeathering machine here, the plucker, some people call it. It just has these like rubber nubbies inside here, and once you turn it on, the bottom spins, so it just kind of tumbles the bird around. It does have a hookup for water here, so it will keep things going with the water, but they also recommend that you add water from the top with the water hose to keep everything moving and smooth. And then the bottom, the feathers come out, and we're gonna catch it in this bowl here. Hopefully, they'll probably end up everywhere. Walking back into the sun, I'll show you guys our table setup for our evisceration station. So we just have a regular fold-out table here, and I've got 4 stainless steel bowls that I plan on separating out, like the feet, the heart and liver. We're not heart and liver fans that we know of, but we're gonna save them and try them just to do our best at consuming the whole animal. And then I think I'm gonna remove the necks as well to have them separate. The last time that we did processed chickens, we left the necks on, which is fine. I mean, most of the time we do like a roasted chicken, and so having the neck on isn't a real big deal. But it would be nice to have them separate for recipes that call for just chicken necks. Then underneath our table, we have this bucket here that all of the innards that we don't plan to eat ourselves will go into that bucket. We have a clean bucket here that I'm gonna fill with water. It's got a little bit of ice in there so that I can dunk the birds in to really rinse them off once they're done being gutted. And then we have our big cooler here full of ice. I'm gonna put some cold water in here when we get a little bit closer, so that once they are cleaned off at the table and dunked into the water, cleaned off, they can go into this cooler and start cooling down. When it comes to processing any animal, the goal is to try and cool them down as quickly as possible, because as soon as they are deceased, nature starts working, and if there is any heat left in the body, then bacteria start to grow and things start to decompose immediately. So you want to cool them down just as quickly as possible. And 2, once they are done being processed and cleaned up and everything, you don't want to stick them directly into the freezer, because the change in temperature from putting that many birds into your deep freeze will cause everything in your deep freeze to melt, and we really don't want that. So we want to go ahead and drop their temperature as low as possible before we add them to our freezer with the other meats that are in there. And then lastly, once they are cooled down and cleaned off and everything, we have some bags here. And we'll show you guys how these work. Hopefully we can figure it out. They're shrink bags, freezer bags that you put them in. And then I have my scale so that I can kind of mark the bags. I'm not gonna do like by ounces or anything like that, just by pounds, so that I know a good overall cooking average for whenever it comes time to cook them. All right, so our water is almost up to scalding temperature, so we're getting ready to get started here in just a minute. I just wanted to share with you guys that this is not an easy process for anybody that has harvested animals or not. This is technically our first time slaughtering chickens ourselves. We did butcher with our friends who are poultry farmers the very first time. They were awesome. They walked us through it and showed us how to do it. We feel 1% confident enough to do it ourselves today, so we're gonna give it a try. And to be completely transparent and honest with you guys, I am not into any kind of butchering or anything like that, but I have been working on getting my mindset right. I know that it's a lot easier to go to the grocery store and buy meats that are in a package that you don't have to see their face, you don't have to go through the process, but you know, that's something that I'm working on myself to get over, to appreciate the entire process, and I definitely have been, but I would be lying if I said that my nerves aren't on edge. So I just wanted to share with you guys that it's normal. It's not a bad thing to, you know, have emotions and that kind of thing, but I wanted to share my 2 things that I'm doing today. I have my speaker up here so we can play some music so that I can kind of sing and get out of my own head kind of thing. And then I also have some peppermints that I'm going to be chewing on to help keep me grounded a little bit. But I just wanted to share that with you guys, that it's okay to be scared to do this and to have emotions about doing it. That's completely normal. If you didn't have those feelings, I would be a little bit concerned about you. So anyways, we are getting ready to get started. We're gonna say a little prayer, and it'll be time to get this thing going. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the harvest that we're getting ready to take here on our homestead. We thank you for the opportunity to grow our own food. Alright, so we have just wrapped up our processing and everything went really good. We're really proud and happy with the job that we did. The first couple chickens took us a little bit to get our groove going, and then we kind of figured it out. And I think for first timers on our own, we did a really good job, and I'm happy with what we got. Now Robert is refilling the tank of water over there with some fresh water so that we can heat it back up again, because our freezer bags are like a shrink wrap bag. So once we sit it in the hot water, it will form to the chicken, and that will get all of the air out of the bag and help it keep longer in the freezer. So he's working on that. I've just got my station all cleaned up and bleach watered and everything. I'm going to show you kind of what we're left over with and what our plans are to do with them. So in the cooler, I have put different bowls that has our necks, our liver and hearts, and our chicken feet. And then inside of the cooler, of course, we have our 10 chickens down in there. We have some different colored feet because the breasts actually have blue feet. Like I said, we don't usually do much with the liver and heart, but we're gonna try this time. And if not, they'll be dog, cat, pig food. And then the necks are good for different recipes. Here we have a bucket of water that I was using to dunk the bird into to wash it off real good after the eviscerating before I put it into the cooler. So it's just a little bit bloody water, and then we have all of the guts and stuff there. I'm not gonna zoom in on that. I'll spare you guys. And then over here at the feather machine, you can see all that came out into this bucket here. And Robert's started putting some into this bin here, but this is full of water, and this is like a rubber bucket, so it's going to be kind of hard to move, but maybe we can drain some of the water out, and we'll use those feathers on the garden, which is great compost. And then of course here at the cone station, we have the blood that collected in the bottom. I won't show that for you guys as well, but that is also great compost material for our garden. So when you buy fertilizers and stuff for your garden, if you look at the ingredients on the back, you'll see that there are things like bone meal, feather meal, blood meal, these kinds of things that are added into your organic fertilizers. So when you process animals, all of these things can go back into the ground, nourish the soil, and grow you bigger, better, healthier food in the future. So definitely no waste when it comes to processing animals on the homestead. So as you guys may recall, our garden starts over here. We have 14 raised garden beds that we planted in this past season. And our goal is to expand the garden over a little bit more, probably about to here on the screen, and put in some market rows here in the ground. Now this soil was all forest before, so it's not the greatest composition. It's very acidic and kind of void of a lot of things. So that was one of the reasons that we ended up getting pigs earlier than we had planned on. And what we've been doing is moving them from paddock to paddock with our temporary electric net fencing and letting them just kind of root up the first layer or so of the ground and put their poop, and then we spread their wasted hay over the area to cover it up so that it can continue to rest and be good and nutritious for our garden rows in the spring once we're ready. So the plan is to take all of the feathers and the blood that is left over. I'm going to water down the blood quite a bit so that it stretches a lot farther, and just kind of cover as much of the area as I can. I know that we don't have enough to cover this entire area where the pigs have been, and that's okay. Every little bit helps, and I know that it's going to be great for our soil, so this would be a lot easier if they were dry. All right, so covered a pretty good area here with these feathers, and I think what I'm going to do is let the sun dry them out some, because right now they're so wet, they're just clumped together. And once they're dried out a little bit, I'll come back out here with my pitchfork and kind of spread them out some more. I'm going to do the same with the blood water, and then I'll probably put another layer of hay on top to cover it, to help it decompose, and also maybe to help mask the smell a little bit. We don't want to be calling in coyotes and bears or anything like that. Look how nasty these pigs are. You dirty girl. Girl, you nasty. Robert put some water over there where they had been rooting at, so they had a little wallow. Got a little muddy action today. Was it nice? Did you have a good mud bath? Alright, so the next thing we're going to dump the innards of the chickens that we won't be using to our pigs. We have separated it into a couple of different servings. Some people are totally against giving meat to pigs. Some people are okay with it. We're okay with it. I think as long as you don't feed species and species kind of thing. Pigs in the wild would eat anything, so same goes with chickens. So I don't have any problem feeding them this, because it's going to get put to good use. It's a great source of protein and a good sustainable source of food for them. So let them have it. Yum. I think we had like one or two that was 5, but the majority of them were 4-ish range. So it is the next day, and I just realized that we didn't add into the video our weights and what we ended up with as far as our chickens to put in the freezer. So I wanted to add this clip in real quick to give you guys an idea of how much meat we ended up with from the birds that we processed yesterday. So our bags didn't have any kind of labels on them, and I didn't want to write with a Sharpie on the bags in case the water and the cold would make the Sharpie come off. And I really wanted a way to tag each chicken so that I knew the approximate weight. So if I go to cook it in the oven or whatever, I know how long to cook it for. So we just did a simple zip tie banding system. I had 3 different color zip ties, one for 3 pounds, 4 pounds, 5 pounds, so that we could mark each bird. And we only ended up with one 5-pound bird, so he was the lucky guy. But most of our birds ended up around 3 to 4.5 pounds or so. I know when a chicken is done cooking, so I didn't factor in half-pound weight, so just so that I know like the approximate cooking time, and then I can kind of eyeball it from there. So we ended up with 10 chickens. The average weight was about 4-ish pounds. If I would have taken into consideration the age of our American breasts, I really thought we were at 16 weeks last week. I don't know how I miscounted, but we were only at 14 weeks. So I wish that I would have given them a couple more weeks to finish out just to see how much bigger they would get. But most of our breasts ended up right around the 4-pound range, which I'm really happy with. I feel like that's a good sized bird, especially for that age. And we weren't treating them as meat birds, so we weren't containing them in a certain area and monitoring how much food they were getting. They were completely free range and just eating the non-GMO feed kind of as they wanted it. So I feel like that's a really good weight as far as chicken goes. So we tried something a little bit different this time than we did the first time that we did meat birds. The very first time we stuck them in the ice bath immediately after processing, and then we bagged them and stuck them into the freezer once they were good and cooled down. This time we've let them sit in the ice bath cooler overnight. We have already bagged them as you guys have already seen in the video, but we wanted to give them more time to settle and let the stiff muscles kind of give out a little bit, so maybe they'll be a little bit more tender whenever it comes time to cook them. I don't know if this is any proven way to do it. We've read mixed reviews on what people do, so we'll see the difference when it comes time to make one of these for dinner, if resting them overnight in the ice bath is preferred over just sticking them directly into the freezer. So the very last thing to do on the list for these birds is to take them out and cut the ends of the bags off and then dry them off real good and stick them into the freezer. This one we've marked with an olive green tag, which means it was one of our 4-pound birds, but they dressed out quite nicely. I'm very happy with the way they look. And as far as I can tell, maybe they're a little more tender than they were when we put them in yesterday. The bags are kind of sealed to them a little bit, so it is hard to tell, but I'm excited to test them out, see how they are. Alright guys, so we are all done processing our chickens. It was an all-day affair.
Took entirely too long.
Very long time. But like I said, this was our first time on our own processing birds, so you know, we had to get the hang of it. I think the thing that took the longest for sure was the setup and the takedown.
Yeah.
There's just so much to set up, and then the water takes a really long time to heat up, so definitely if you're going to do this, plan on heating that water up an hour or so in advance to go ahead and get it up to temperature so that you're not sitting around waiting on it like we were.
Make that the first thing that you do as part of your setup.
And then of course tearing everything down, having to wash it all and sanitize, and you know, this equipment doesn't belong to us. Even if it did, we would have cleaned it out properly, but we're returning it and we want it to be in good shape when we turn it back in. But anyway, this video we wanted to show you guys kind of how things go from beginning to end of a life cycle as far as an animal goes here on our homestead, and how we are putting all of the parts and pieces to use and making the very best use of the entire animal as we can.
Pigs like it.
Yeah, the pigs seem to like it pretty good. So we will give you guys an update video once we try our American breast chickens. That's a bird that we have never tasted before. We've never tasted the other ones either, so we'll give an update on both of those. But stick around to see if they are the world's most tasty or delicious chicken. We'll see.
It's going to be a hard battle because the other chickens we had a lot of fat on them, and those were lean.
They did seem a little lean, but I don't know.
We'll try it out. You never know.
We'll see.
Might not be an indicator of anything, so
we'll see. So, hope you guys took away something from this video. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Until the next time, we will see you later.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.